Welcome to Home's Room. Just like Homeroom, we start off our day getting together with our homies, swapping stories, even a little kiss and tell action. This podcast contains language not suitable for younger listeners, topics about sex and mental health. Discretion is advised. Our views are our own. Let class begin.
It's been a really long time since I've heard my intro music. Hopefully the person I have on with me also heard my intro music because things are different. Hopefully it wasn't just a long, awkward pause in quiet. But I guess that's a good thing because that means we're both sufficient in our person and could sit in the silence for a second. But I got a friend here to help me do this episode. What's up? How are you?
Hey. Hi. I did hear the intro music. Sounded great. Everything sounded good. And, that's good for me to practice sitting with, emotions and all that. We'll probably talk about that at some point today.
Exactly. Welcome back, Miss Shelby. We had the astrology episode.
Not an astronomy expert by any means. I'm not that smart.
Right, same. I can take pictures of the sky. That's about as far as it goes. I know what the moon is. So I wanted to do another like how to ask your partner, how to ask your person like deep or whatever questions, because you guys like those episodes, which was really bizarre to me that everybody like flocked to those episodes. I had like the highest 7-day totals I've had for episodes, which was like strange, but okay. So we're doing another one, and I wanted to have a different perspective. So I got a friend who's super down and fun, and hopefully, we have these questions to ask that maybe make us think, but also make you think like, oh, I wonder what my answer would be, or oh, I wonder what my partner's answer would be, or oh, I could ask that question. So, Miss Shelby, are you ready for the first question?
I'm so ready. I'm so excited for this. Yeah.
All right. So, these ones are spicy questions. When I looked them up, this one said 21, but I think they just titled it wrong because there's only 15. So right now there's 15. Exactly. So this one won't be titled 21 questions. It'll be titled probably 15 or just questions. But they're spicy questions. So starting off with number 1, and this is specifically the question. We'll talk about how to ask the question, how to maybe answer the question so you feel safe, that kind of thing. But number 1 is, what's your biggest turn on that I don't know about yet? I personally love that one. What do you think?
I love that too. Oh man, that's so fun to ask somebody, especially like early on in a relationship, you're getting to know each other, or even if you've been in the relationship for a while. Like, I think the thing that keeps a relationship alive and going is being surprised, like continuously surprised by the other person, and like allowing the relationship to have a little bit of mystery. But that can also be a really vulnerable question. Like, even me, who feels like the person that I'm in a relationship with knows me so well and is so non-judgmental, I get a little like, when we start to talk about stuff like that, I'm like, like, you start to feel those feelings of shame come up because we're so like conditioned to feel that way. Should I actually answer the question?
I mean, that one we can figure that one out as we roll, I guess. But because like that one is a good question. But again, that's one of those like it could have such a drastic line in like when I hear that question, like the first thing you said was, a relationship that's fresh. And I was actually thinking this is like a perfect question for like a relationship that's going stagnant, or that like you just need that little like nudge to get the conversation started because like you want to have a conversation, but you don't know how to have the conversation. So I was thinking a relationship that was, like I could see me in my relationship we just talked about it today, of like 20 years asking this question because it's like, oh man, is there one that I don't know about, or that like maybe it's changed over time and it's something new that like you wouldn't expect. So like, I think there's a lot of range in that one. So I think that's interesting that you went new first.
I agree. And I'm not sure why my brain went there, but I totally agree that I think it could be a really good question to ask in a longer term relationship. Here's my thing. I think if you ask that question, you have to prepare yourself to be surprised by the answer and to
Yeah,
be okay with that. And I
absolutely.
think with a lot of these questions, we'll see how they all kind of turn out, but I think sometimes people ask questions before they're like prepared to receive the answer.
Yeah, yeah, I
So
agree.
like if it's something kind of like off the wall that you're like, "Whoa, I didn't know that." Like it can be exciting and it can be really fun. It can be like something fresh and new in the relationship. But if it's something that you're like it maybe makes you think like, "Oh, maybe I don't know you as well as I thought I did." Like you have to be ready for that as well. Like
Yeah,
how will you take that in?
yeah, like, if you're sitting there and you ask this question and their response is, I want to when you sweep the floor and like you just stop and like you can't respond like that. You can't just laugh because now like if
Right.
they were being serious, did you just like just shoot down the whole and
Like,
so
"Oh no, did
I
I just kink shame you?"
yeah, yeah, exactly, right? So it's tough, man. That one's like I said, that one is a good like I like that it's number one and it is a good question. Would you ask it just that same way, or would you like maybe change the wording so it flows better in a conversation, or do you think that's pretty straight up and ready to roll?
I think as is, it's a very clear, it's a very direct question, but I think context matters incredibly, right? Like you can't just
Yeah,
pull that out, out of nowhere, right? Like the conversation has to be flowing. You don't want to pull that out when you're upset with each other. You don't want to like
yeah,
timing and context, I think really matter.
yeah. I like that. I agree. I think that one's pretty straightforward. Number two, and this one I feel like you can give the answer because it's pretty simple. But number two is describe our last kiss in 3 words. And I love this one. This one is super sweet. It's not
Oh,
spicy, it's super sweet. So, like, what do you
yeah.
think?
I think, oh gosh, that's hard. Like, and it depends, right? So
Yeah.
if you're in a relationship that does feel sort of stagnant or something like that, or things aren't necessarily going well, and maybe like the last time you kissed was like on your way out the door, it was very
Hmm.
routine, like that could bring up some sort of emotional feelings of like, oh, it just was kind of or
Yeah.
like if it was, some big passionate kiss, then you're like, oh, then you can find all these other words for it. But I think I like that because it even for me, I'm thinking about like, okay,
Yeah.
well,
Yep.
yeah, what would that have been like, and
That,
how would I describe it?
that's what I just want to explain. I glanced over these questions. I had like probably 15 of these saved. I
Yeah.
glanced over the questions. So like anyone that said spicy questions or anyone that said that was like, fun questions to ask your I just saved it so I could and then was going to go back through to see which ones jumped out at me. So like
Mhm.
this list I skimmed and this was one of the ones that I saw and I was like, "Oh, I like that question."
Mhm.
And it's such a good question to ask because like you said, if it's getting stagnant, it is. If it was just like well, it was when you were leaving this morning and I was half asleep and we just kissed, or you were in a rush so it was just a quick peck. But like when it comes to like the spontaneity of a kiss and the spontaneity
Mhm.
of like a relationship, describing our last kiss in like 3 words is actually really hard because it's like, ooh, what word? Like, obviously like passionate would be one that may come to mind, or
Mhm.
like cute, or sweet,
Mhm.
soft, like those are. But to like actually have to sit there and think about it is like, huh? I don't know. I
Yeah.
got to I got to think about it. So
Yeah. And I feel like there is a chance that the description of the kiss could very accurately describe the state of your relationship in the moment.
yeah, I
You
could see
know,
that. Yeah.
because I'm thinking like, just as an example, like Sam, who's my long-term partner, just is out of town this weekend, and like as he was leaving, I'm thinking about like, okay, so last time we kissed was right before he left, and I was like, it felt very loving, it felt very safe, it felt like, okay, I'll see you when I get back, like.
Yeah.
So those are like the words that I would use to describe the relationship too. Like it's very safe, it feels very loving, it feels very meaningful to me. Um, but that I think that that's a good way to kind of gauge where your relationship is right now for a lot of
Yeah.
people.
I love that. Like meaningful was not one that came to mind when I was like
Mhm.
thinking of descriptors. So like that's a good, I like that. See, so there you go. Like anybody listening, it's about, truly like sitting on it. And I like to say that a lot of these questions you can circle back to, like if you need a minute, don't feel pressure to just like,
Right.
oh, I got to answer it right now. I mean, some of them are good, like knee jerk, what's your reaction? But like this one, like if I had to sit there and think about it, we did our errands this morning and we were coming
Mhm.
back into the house and trying to bring bags of groceries, and I had a hand free, so it was like one of those like hand on the side of the face, stopping, passionate, slow, like I don't want to say like commanding, but like a guy, a strong guy's kiss to
Yeah.
his partner, so like it definitely had that tone to it. And I don't know what the flip side would be, and that's why I'm glad that like you're kind of here, because I like your descriptors are completely different than anything that I would have thought of for like
Yeah.
how I would describe it. And that was the point. So immediately happy that we
That's
did
why
this.
I'm here, right? Offer a
Yeah,
different perspective. Yeah.
exactly. I immediately love that.
Also,
So
as
good.
an astrology person, I'm like, that's so Aries of you.
Yeah, yeah.
And I love
It
that.
it is. And I appreciate that I know that side of things now, because I see it so much more, and I'm like, hey, makes sense. I
It's great.
I know where that comes from now.
Absolutely.
And moving on to the next one, number 3 is, what's something naughty you've always wanted to try with me? And I love that it says with me at the end, not just you
Yeah.
wanted to try, but with me, because it adds a level of like inclusivity to like the feeling, not just like, oh, like you don't have to be afraid to ask this
Mhm.
question or be like, well, they're asking me like what's my wildest fantasy and I don't know if I want to like share that. They're asking like
Right.
with me, so it's like in this safe bubble, and I like that.
Yeah.
What do you think?
That with me is totally of the essence, because there's a lot of things, like immediately the first thing that came into my mind is like there's a lot of things that I would never do with anybody else, but this person that I am in a
Yeah,
relationship with and feel safe with and feel so attracted to, I'm like, oh, I can think of a million things, like, yes, let's do this, let's do that.
yeah,
But that's not something that like is just an overarching fantasy anywhere for anybody. It's
yeah.
like for this specific person.
Yeah, because I feel safe with you, and that's one that like I don't like the way a lot of these have been worded. Like I don't know that I would ask it a different way. If I like, maybe I would tweak this one, and instead of saying what's something like naughty you've always wanted to try, I might say what's something fun and spicy. Like I might try and soften it just a little bit, because naughty
Yeah.
sounds a little like you know. Uh,
We're using the shame language around it
yeah, exactly.
already. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
almost
exactly.
comical.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I might change that just a little bit.
I
Um,
agree.
but like that's one of those ones where I think right now especially, and I've done a lot of like sex educators and people in like sex work field like interviews, so I know from like their perspective that a lot of the things that they're like exposed to, or a lot of the things that they would normally be engaged and talk about, might actually never be a thing they want to do with their like partner. And
Right.
it doesn't have to be anything wild. Like if you're like, I want to sit on the deck and sip champagne with you, and maybe start like a small makeout session and then come inside and do whatever like that,
Right.
that's still just it may be like PG-13, but guess what, it's still what you want. And this is
Right.
about expressing what you want. It doesn't have to be like some grand crazy like, I want to do all these wild things and they're gonna have to call the cops and like that. Like we don't need any of that. It doesn't have to happen.
Right. Right. I'm not trying to prove anything to
Yeah.
you, because and again, I think if I was asking this question, I might even get to the essence of it in that way and say like, what is something that you've never felt safe enough to do with anyone else, but you would want to try with
I
me?
love it. I
Just
love
like
that
get
so
get
much.
right down to the feeling of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing is like, I wish I could remember the statistic, but it's like only like 13% or something like that. I know it's a 3 somewhere in there. I can't remember if it's like a weird third, so it's like 33% or 23% or 13%, but it's like don't have fantasies at all, like they're almost incapable of it. And even if they did have them, they definitely don't feel confident in sharing them, or they're so fleeting that like they don't put stock into them as though it's a thing they would ever want or try. It just, as soon as it comes in their mind, it's gone. And I think that for people like that who, you know, might be asked this question or might not know how to process the information coming back towards them because they don't think that way, I think this is one, again, like, you know, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It could be like, you know, I've always loved when, like, in movies they, you know, they're sitting on the couch and you know, it turns from, you know, sitting on the couch to like a hug, and a hug turns to this, and that turns, like, it could literally be that. It doesn't have to be crazy.
There's like a safety and a I don't know, something inherently like kinky in the going slow and the, like, I don't know, just like not having any pressure to like be or do this big wild thing, like you're saying. Like it could just be it could feel very tame from the outside, but like to you that's like what feels good.
Yeah, I know. I think that more people need to admit that, like, it doesn't have to be turned to 11 immediately. It's like the build up, or, you know, the softness, and it could be spread over days. It doesn't have to be like, you know, 5 o'clock when you get home and we got to be all the way ready to go by like 9:30 at night. And from there, you know, who knows what, like, that's silly. I think that, you know, a good relationship, a strong relationship should be like kind of doing the small things all along. So it would be easy to fit any of these things in there. But like at the same time, like if you're asking these questions or you're, you know, you're talking to your partner about like this specific question, like this is where you get to speak up and say what you actually want, because you might get it. Closed mouths don't get fed, or other things in this situation. Thank you very much.
I feel like that deserves like a little boom boom.
Should I have hit it? I think if I knew where there's an update to the software that we use, and originally there would have been, you know, a rim shot like soundboard thing, but they're all moved and it's different now, so I couldn't find it. I'll have to add it in post, maybe. I don't know.
We'll do that later.
But yeah, do you have any, like, I guess, advice to anybody who would be like tentative, especially from like the female perspective of like asking, like, because it's well known that no guy ever wants to talk about anything feeling wise, and this has a lot to do with feelings. So do you have any advice on how you would maybe ask this question to your partner, who I happen to know, and like he seems like he would be like the guy that actually does talk about his emotions, even though he does not look like he would ever talk about his emotions?
He doesn't look that way, but he's quite good at it. And it would be really hard for me to be partnered with somebody who wasn't at least a little bit capable of that. But yeah, you know, so much of like our fantasies or the things that we desire in a relationship, it is really vulnerable. And so in order to talk about those things, like, you have to have a baseline of talking about feelings. So just like dip a toe in, like talking about feelings in other ways, and just kind of see, I think that's a good primer for these kind of bigger, heavier conversations that might feel a little bit more vulnerable. And ultimately, I think if you don't feel safe expressing a feeling or being vulnerable in a relationship, then that's a pretty good indication that something's not quite right.
Yeah. I love that one. That is super solid. And this is why we're doing this. Like, literally, you just hit the nail on the head. Is, you know, talking to people in general, doesn't matter who they are, is hard to do. But talking to your partner is extra hard to do, because usually you care about that person's opinion probably more than anybody else's, and you don't want to hurt them because you care about their feelings. So like, you know, it's there's so much already like tied to this, that asking these questions, the, you know, the fear, the shame, the, you know, what if they judge me and I didn't know they were going to judge me kind of thing. Like, all of that is tied into this. So again, approach it accordingly, but like use it as maybe an indicator of where your relationship is, and maybe realize that you need to ask more questions like this, or start on the opposite end and be able to ask questions like this afterwards. The next one is really, really funny. And I know that like I hate to say it like this, because I'm not saying that you aren't, or I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but like I'm an open book, and I immediately, like when I just glanced over to read what the next question was, I I immediately was like, oh, I know my answer to this one. And I don't know if you're also going to know the answer to this one, but it's good. It's good. I'm just gonna say
right,
that. No, number 4. What's the wildest place you've ever thought about us getting intimate? And again, their words, not mine. Intimate is how it's written. I did not write that.
No, I like it. I like it. Thought about or actually done? Because I think both of those are like,
yes.
you know,
Yeah.
you know,
That's what I said. That was why it was funny, because it was like, oh, thought about, or like, because yeah, okay.
Because most of the places I've thought about it, well, that's not entirely true. I was going to say most of the places I've thought about it have actually ended up happening, but not all. So I will say that that's really funny.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I'm immediately after reading it, I was like, oh, sorry. Continue, friend.
No, I was just going to say it's a hilarious question. It's also really funny, and it's a really, I think this is a good way to get some insight into like, okay, like where's your head at when we're like out in public, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly. That is exactly where my brain went. It was like, oh, this is one that, like, again, when you ask this question, be prepared for whatever the answer might be, because you never know. Like,
you might be surprised.
if you're sitting there and you say, you know, what's the wildest place you've ever thought about us getting intimate? And their response is church. And it's like, wait, what?
Huh?
It's like, yeah. It's like, this Chuck E. Cheese. No, I'm pretty sure that's illegal, friend. Like,
yeah, what?
Yeah.
Not
So
that one.
yeah. So like, remember, we don't know. But I think that opens up a whole other can of worms. If your partner says Chuck E. Cheese, let's dive into that.
There's other things to talk about.
Is it the
right?
animatronics? Is it the costumes? What is it? The
pizza.
smell of is it the smell of the pizza? Like, what are we doing? Hopefully they worked in it. Yeah, right. Yeah, hopefully they worked at one, and that was always like a thing they thought about. I don't know. But yeah. So with this one, I think I wouldn't use the word getting intimate, or the term getting intimate. I think that's
so
a little
formal.
weird. Yeah, it feels like grandma
Clinical.
is asking this. Yeah, exactly. Grandma is asking this question. You know, you could even stop with the words altogether once you get to that part and just say, where's you know, the wildest place you've ever thought about us, you know, and that's it. Like that's already better. That's how I would probably ask this question.
Yeah, agreed. I would not use those words. And granted, I understand like the phrasing, because I think it does encompass more than just one particular thing, right? It's like, you know, any number that could mean making out on a park bench or something, you know what I mean? Like, it could mean anything. And so I appreciate the broadness, but yeah, again, not my favorite term.
Yeah. Like I said, I think that one's a good one. And so far, the way that these have been, like, I don't want to say tiered, but they've gotten like heavier and heavier as they've gone. I like that. I think the order is good. I haven't had one that I'd be like, maybe I'd circle back, but like this one is one that like maybe you would have to think about if you don't have an immediate reaction, because it could be like, you know, the laundry room. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like it could be something super simple. It doesn't, you know, that doesn't have to be anything crazy. I will say, and this is a hilarious story, because it happened to be on vacation with my mom's family, and we were sitting on a balcony at a hotel, and we happened to look down into the pool that was closed. It was like an indoor pool, water park thing, and sitting on this balcony, me and my mom noticed two people in the pool, and they were definitely getting intimate. And I was like, I don't know if I point this out. And then my mom made a noise of like, mm-mm. And I immediately knew she saw it too. And I was like, you see those people down there? And she was like, yeah. And it was just super funny. And I was like,
What a moment
okay.
to have with your mom, by the way.
Yeah, right, exactly. My like uber Christian mom. It was just so funny. And then like I got up and went inside. I think I want to say I went and told like my younger cousins that we just saw that, or that there was people over there, and the pool is closed, so we know they had to have like snuck in to like to go, and like they all had just gotten back from the pool, so it was like, like, you guys are lucky you just left cuz XYZ. And my mom when I went back outside, I was like, they still out there? And she was like, no, he hit it from the back and then they got up and left. And I was just like, Mom.
That's amazing.
So like I said, I had to tell that story because it fits into this question, and it was too funny. And that was immediately what my mind thought of, was like, oh man, it's like somebody was going to say a pool, and this is where it is. So
Yep.
Anyway, glad that we could all have that moment. I always have stories like that. If you ever have a moment and need a laugh, be like, Holmes, throw out one of your stories. I'm sure you can come up with one, and I promise you I'll make you laugh.
All right, I'm gonna keep that in mind.
The next question, number 5, is, what's your favorite thing I do to you physically? And I fucking love this question.
Because this could mean so many things. This could mean like you hold my hand at the right time in the right place. Or it could mean, it could mean any number of things, right? It could go very spicy. It could go very like intimate, vulnerable, but not necessarily spicy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That is the goal for this, is to show you that there's range to any of these questions. And it's like a starting off point to maybe get the conversation deeper. So like you could start off with like, oh, like, I love when you hold my hand, just to gauge their response. And then they're like, oh, what? I thought you were going to say something else. And now you know that you have permission to say something else. Or their response to that could be, you know what? I love when you wrap your hand around the small of my back. It makes me feel safe. And, like those are the things. And now it's like, oh, okay, like this is where we are. And then you bond over a moment that like maybe you both say the same thing. Like, when I think about this question, it's like I have to think really hard like about like my favorite thing that like Courtney does physically that I would say, because like I don't think about it. But again, 20 years of like being together, it's just like, man, is there one thing? Is there like, what am I used to that like I used to, so
right, because so much of it is probably so automatic in your relationship that you don't necessarily have to think about it consciously. And I'm like, oh, I like thinking about these things because it makes me notice the things that are kind of just like, I don't want to say taken for granted, but like are sort of taken for granted, right? This is really good intimacy building, even though we just decided that was a grandma word.
yeah, that's a different way to use it though.
Yes, that's fair. Yeah.
That is a common way to use the word currently. But yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is like, I was thinking about it just now as like I was going through that, and as you were saying what you were saying, and I think the thing that comes to my mind first is a thing that I know I don't like that you do physically is touch me when we're in the store and shock the shit out of me before touching something else. Cause like just touch the cart, touch something else, then touch me. Cause I don't need to get shocked out of my fucking shoes. Cause sometimes like it's bad. And I don't know if you've ever experienced that. But it's not fun
between you guys.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. Maybe I like shuffle my feet too much, or we both do. I have no idea. Maybe we have a shopping cart all the time, and it's a shopping cart. I don't know, but it like literally happened this morning. So I was like top of mind, like whatever. And there's been times where like I could see the fucking arc between her and I because it was that strong. It sounds like you stepped on a potato chip, and it's like, nah, man, that's just you shocking me. Get out of here! Don't do it again. Fucking stop.
Crazy. That's funny. And you know what? Our brains are so conditioned to think of the things that we don't like or the negative experiences first. Like, it's a survival mechanism. And again, it's just how our brains work. But like, isn't that funny that like it's so easy to immediately think of a negative thing? Because I could think of a few of those too.
Yeah. So I just want to know if somebody's listening to this and they, like they're thinking about, like the thing that somebody does, and your partner's response is like forehead kiss or like neck nuzzle, or nuzzle, whatever. I want those responses to like flood my inbox, because I think that that's way more popular than people really want to make it seem, because they feel like it's dorky. But like
Oh no.
legitimately, like guys love the like the neck thing, and I'm
Absolutely.
pretty sure ladies like forehead kisses, and I just,
Yes. You know
it's
what?
not a
And
like
sometimes
belittling
men love a
thing.
little forehead kiss too.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. It's not a belittling thing. It's not like a, like childish thing. It's like just like small moments. So like if that's your thing,
Yeah.
like share it. Be proud of it.
Yes,
Um
100%.
uh Number 6. If we were if we were alone right now, what would you want to do first? I like that one because again, it's like, are we gonna just hang out and, PG it, or like is it like full uh I'm trying to think of what's one of the popular things now. I'm so out of the loop on all that stuff. But what is it? Off campus it, and just, all crazy uh you know book to movie adaptation it,
Oh,
so
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like I always think about like I don't know. The first thing that came to mind was like, well, yeah, I would love to jump your bones right now, but also I want to know how your day was. Like, tell me about
yeah,
that first before we
yeah,
like, get into
yeah.
anything big. Like, let us like settle our nervous systems and connect for a second before we like jump right into it. So I like the use of the word first because it
Hmm.
doesn't imply that's the only thing, but like, where do we start?
Yeah, I think that this one is like super context driven. So if you were to
Mhm.
ask this question and, you know, like you're in a car on a road trip, which I always, I think those are the road trips. Anytime you're stuck together in a confined space and have
Mhm.
nothing to really do, this is the perfect time to ask these questions, because like the inhibitions are already lowered. You have nothing to do.
Mhm.
You can't go anywhere. And if you get quiet, something can, like, you're driving, so it doesn't necessarily matter. Just don't
Right.
ask it and then get angry and then get quiet, because that's never good.
Yes.
But
Yes.
but
No, absolutely
asking
not.
this question, in the context of you're actually alone, it, it would be a little weird. Or if
Mhm.
you're in a group, it might be a little weird to ask this
Right.
question. But this is definitely, when I think this is one that you can not circle back to, but keep in your back pocket. And then you
Mhm.
lean in, and you are at a bar or a club or a party or a hangout or the grocery store, whatever, you lean in and ask this question, and it might get better response than you think it would. I don't know how
Mhm.
you feel, but that's how I feel.
No, I completely agree with that. Like, yeah, the context and the timing really matters with a question like this one, I think.
Yeah. Um, do you think that when you ask this question, uh, that you should, I guess, approach it with like male, female, like partnered, like specific, I guess, intention, where like how your partner might respond. I know how my partner might respond, but like,
Mhm.
do you ask it with like the intention of saying, okay, this is what I'm intending to ask, or do you think that you should ask this like with like a blank intention and just like accept whatever is said? Because like your point of like, I want to know how your day was first, is
Yeah.
super specific, but I don't know
Yeah.
that, like, do you think that you should ask it with that context of like no expectation, or an expectation of what your partner might say?
It's interesting. I think it goes back again to the context. Like, I think there is a way to ask this question where I'm like, oh, I can ask this question and then know exactly what's going to happen next. Like, it's a tone in which you ask it. It's a set and setting. Um, so I think whatever you're into, like if you're just trying to have a conversation and just like get information out of somebody, or like not get information out of somebody, but like just try to have this conversation, you
Yeah.
can ask it in a very like blank way. I think you can do it either way. If you're trying to build intimacy or trying to like have a more spicy conversation, I think you can kind of like lean in, ask it with the
Yeah.
right tone, like, okay, so we're in a crowded club, like what would you do if we were alone right now? Then that's a
Hmm.
very different framing. I think you could take it either way.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. But it's such a, this one that one was interesting.
Yeah.
um Number 7, what's one thing I wear that drives you crazy? And I really like this one because, again, it doesn't have to be something like, it could be like, I love those skinny jeans, or
Mm-hmm.
I love those, like, whatever it is, like 8-inch inseam shorts. Those are the ones. So
Yeah. Yeah. Again, to your point, like, this is, you never know what somebody's going to say. I'm always surprised by the things that, like, my partner likes, that I'm like, you think this is cool? Like, they're like, yeah, I love seeing you in that. I'm like, oh, I'm not trying to be sexy. I'm not,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So that's always a fun, I don't know. I think that's always a fun question.
Because we record these like slightly ahead of time, because that's how recording works. Today is a Saturday, and because I'm starting to record episodes again, I'm starting to try and get back into this. I resurrected the Homes Room Pod Instagram, and the only staple of that Instagram is Saturday morning polls. They're always fun.
Yeah.
So like today this is one of the questions that, like, when I skimmed, I saw and I was like, oh, I like that one. So today, in honor of this episode being recorded on this Saturday, the first 2 questions on the poll were dress your partner. And I tried to pick things that weren't like, that didn't jump out to me as like, oh, I like this outfit, or oh, I like that outfit. I tried to pick a range of like weird things that I don't know that anybody would particularly choose, to make it harder to choose. And I think the answers to that are really interesting. So what I would say is, this is a perfect opportunity to pull out, whatever search engine you use, pull out Pinterest or Amazon or whatever app you look at clothing on, and be like, oh, I like this thing, or I like this thing, or send them to your partner after you have this conversation to be like, I think these are cute, because you never know what styles may or may not be cute. Like, the things that I think are cute on like women, I don't think would ever be Courtney's style, so I wouldn't ask her to like wear that. But also, like, I think that that's cute. But I don't know. I think it's so interesting, and like, my style, again, 20 years of relationship, like, my style has changed, her style has changed, and it's super hard to know the answer to that question without asking it, because we assume a lot, like, oh, I wear this suit every day, and I'm sure she thinks I look good in this suit. And in actuality, she loves when you're in a t-shirt, comfortable shorts, and your hat's backwards. Like, that's the thing, you know what I mean?
Because
so
you're
like
comfortable in your home, and that means there's like a broader meaning behind it.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't mind, what's like one article of clothing that if you were to like judge your man on it, it would have to be like top tier. This is the one article of clothing that like would have to be involved.
It's so funny because you've seen Sam at roller derby games and stuff, and like, he's always got a muscle shirt on, which I think is hilarious. Love that for him. It's like very him. But every once in a while, I think it's because I don't get to see it very often, but every once in a while we'll go to like a wedding or something like that, and I'll see him in a suit. He's a firefighter for a living. So like, he most of the time is wearing a t-shirt at work, or he's wearing like fire pants or whatever, which also is great to look at. But when I get to see him in a suit or see him dressed up, I'm always like, damn, I forgot that you can do that. It's kind of like seeing a different side. And so it's, again, it's that like out of the norm sort of thing. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of nice. And I'll kind of take that the opposite direction too. So we've known each other since we were 19. We were friends for a really long time, got married to different people, whatever. And then, we're both ended up divorced around the same time and reconnected. And at that time I was working from home. And so we would hang out a lot. He got to see me in a lot of like, shorts and t-shirts and that kind of thing, like very casual. But this last year I got a job where I had to go in office. And so I was wearing a lot more like business casual clothing. And I remember the first time I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go to work now. And he was like, damn. And I was wearing like a blazer and a pair of like slacks. And I was like, what? That's what's like, it's like getting you. And he was like, I don't know, something about a powerful woman.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. You know what? And it's that same thing of like, it was out of the norm for him to see that. And so it was like, oh, we're trying something different. And that's really interesting to you. So I just always think I think we're on the same page as far as that goes.
Yeah. I know for me, like, and it sounds super silly because, like, again, it's the same thing. And I think that's what, like, so I'm nodding my head so, like, vigorously. You can't hear that out there, but I am. Like, one of the things that I'd love, Courtney works in an office, but, like, she sometimes goes out in the field and she works for a company that does, like, installs for like automotive stuff and industrial things. And so they go and build out a lot of shops. So when she gets to go out, she has some, I think it's like Redfin or Red Cap or something like that, pants that are super, like, kind of like the tactical pants fit for first responders, where they're just like kind of really, really form fit. And she has like a dry fit, almost form fitting, like work stamped t-shirt. And she puts her hair up in like this like kind of messy bun that I remember, like, when we were teenagers together, like, was like her go-to, like, put her hair up style. And it's like that one. Yep, that right there. The high and tight, if you know what the high and tight is.
Yeah, like, the high and tight.
Yeah. So it's like the high and tight. It's like yep. Now I'm going to be thinking about that
something for me
all day. Yep, all day. That's going to be in my head. So again, it's like that. It's interesting. I like that because it's different, but it's still you, and it's still like okay, and she's curvy, so it shows off the curves, and it's like, yep,
right,
got it, done. Thank you. Cooking extra good meal tonight. Gotcha.
All right, heard.
Yeah. So number 8 is, have you ever had a dream about me and what happened in it? I love this one. And if you have not asked this question just in general before, this is a question to go ask. What do you think?
I love this question. I'm a Pisces. I love dreams. I love dream interpretation. I love thinking about dreams. I feel like I'm the kind of person that receives messages in dreams, like, not overly woo-woo way, but like, I really feel like dreams are a thing that your body is like trying to tell you something a lot of times. Sometimes they're just weird and random, but sometimes they're meaningful. So this to me means a lot because I remember distinctly, like, in the time, like, after I got divorced, it was a very stressful time in my life. And I kept having dreams about Sam, and he later told me that he was also having dreams about me. And then I would and he said that would happen like several times over the course of our our friendship before, where like he would have a dream about me, and then the next day I would text him or something like that, where we'd like, share music or something like that. And so dreams are a big deal personally for me in my relationship. And I think that that's such a good window into somebody's subconscious.
Yeah, I think so. I think more people are afraid to share what they dream about because of the shame piece. So I think if you're dreaming, especially like we're coming at these as like questions to ask your partner. So like let the shame go and like tell them what you actually dreamed about, or what you don't have to like necessarily, like, I don't want to say omit things, but like the details that like are arbitrary don't really serve a purpose to like what the dream was about. Like those don't necessarily have to be in there, but like tell them as much about the dream as you can remember. Like I know when I asked Courtney about her dreams, because she says something about a dream, she does not remember them. So like I am expecting like a fragmented, we did this, we did that, we were there, we were here, and such was there. And like, that's the extent of the dream. I'm not going to get descriptions. However, I remember most of my dreams. So like it's vivid detail of like, I could probably write it out and you'd be like, dang, how the hell do you remember all that? So I too love dreams and analyze dreams, and think that like people who can like dive deep into dreams, like I think that's amazing. So I think this is one that like, again, there's no judgment. There's no like, there shouldn't be any shame around it. You should be able to answer this question like truthfully and wholly, and not have a stigma about it, because your dream is uncontrollable. You have zero input on it.
Absolutely. And I think for those of us who like have a harder time remembering our dreams, or like, I know there's some people who just don't don't dream or don't remember them at all. But sometimes you might remember, okay, such and such was here and such was here, and maybe this happened, but I don't remember a lot of details. But do you remember how you felt? Like,
Yeah.
how did the dream
Yeah.
make you feel? How did I make you feel in the dream? I'm thinking specifically about, again, Sam and I, especially when we very first started dating and it started kind of ramping up in seriousness, he would have a lot of dreams that I was mean to him. And I think it was this like new relationship. I'm like scared to
Yeah.
be vulnerable and trust. And there was all these like kind of underlying subconscious feelings. And I was like, oh my God, okay, this is like really good information for me to have, because there's something deep in you that is scared to lose this, which is meaningful to me, but also like, how can I make you feel more secure in this?
Yeah. If I don't remember something about a dream, like a detail or something, and like, because it's been 9 hours since I had the dream and now I'm like able to talk about it, the things that I try and make a point to remember is how I felt, or how that thing in the dream made me feel. Like, I don't remember what I was doing, or who it was or what it was, but I know that like whoever it was made me feel safe. And the more you like start to think about like how you feel, I feel like personally sometimes the parts of the dream will come back and I can remember it more because I remember how I felt, and it's like, oh, I remember that part now. And then, so, but yeah, I like that one. And I love that, like, that one is, kind of spicy, kind of not spicy. This next one, this next one is clear cut. And, I'm pretty sure one of the spiciest so far. If I gave you 30 minutes alone with me, no rules, what would you do? And it's like, I'm gonna point out the memes where it's like the meme says that exact thing, and then it's like the picture is like the one partner going and looking at plants, or one partner going fishing, or whatever. So like, don't do that.
Right.
I would answer. Yeah, I might answer that way because I'm an asshole, but like this one is good. I like that one.
Okay, that's so interesting. I have thoughts about this question, because the phrase "no rules" implies that there normally are rules. Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, well, that to me almost feels like, okay, well, I never want to put somebody, and I'm overthinking this question. I already know I'm overthinking this question because I got a lot of.
That's the point.
I don't know. That's the point. But I'm like, okay, 30 minutes alone, no rules. Does that mean that I have 30 minutes to like do things to you that you don't consent to? I don't feel good about that.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I don't want to put somebody in that kind of a position. But if we're just talking like, no rules could just mean like, I'm open to anything right now. I'm willing to try new things. So we'll approach it from that angle.
Yeah. I actually like the way you brought that point up, because it's definitely one of those things that like, I think it opens up a different conversation first. And it's like, oh, what would our rules be that like to say that there's no rules? Like what are the things that like we count as rules now that like might not be rules in this situation? And, our rules often like, again, it's like I've interviewed so many like non-monogamous people that like, their rules are their way of life. Like that's how they do what they do, and it stays comfortable. So like, the layer of rules is like, that makes it interesting, but also like it opens up the broader conversation of like, what are the rules, and like what rules are we like soft on, or what rules are we like hard limited on, because that matters.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe this is again just me and how I'm thinking about this question, but I'm like, I don't have a lot of hard and fast rules. Like context matters, and like sometimes I'm not in the mood for certain things or other things, but like if you want to try something, usually I'm like, I'll do anything once.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Right. That's
I'm like, what rules are we talking about here?
that's why, like, when you brought it up, I didn't even think about it because I would be the same way. And I was like, I mean, like, especially in the context of like how I thought about the question, simply because it's like, if we're having this conversation, we're asking spicy questions. This is an insight into things that you might like that I might be like, oh, hell yeah, like, let's try that. So like, I didn't even like I didn't put those two, those two things together, but like, for somebody out there, that might very much be a thing. And
Right.
I think that, consent matters, but more importantly, like, the context in which you are, whatever, like, does this turn into CNC or consensual non-consent? You know what I mean? Like, where
Right.
you are consenting to these things in this situation, but not beyond
But
that.
not outside of this
Yeah,
situation. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
And like,
exactly.
in the sense of like, maybe we're talking about it, but it doesn't actually happen. I didn't think I like the way you approached that one, because I didn't see it that way. But also,
Yeah.
like, if you're down to clown and you have fun, this is your moment to shine, my friend. Tell them what
Here we
you
go.
want, or tell them what you would do. They might just like it.
They might.
This next one is like along the same lines, but I love it because it's, again, like, super specific to like the safety person. Number 10 is, what's your secret fantasy starring me? And it's like, ooh, I like that one. Because like,
Yeah.
it's like, ooh, actually, I thought about this, but I would never have like said it. But since you're asking, like, here's this thing. And, like, to me, this is one of those, like, there's questions that you could like dip your toe in, and then there's questions that you just gotta like fully jump in. And I feel like this is, for me, one that you just would have to like fully jump in, get brave.
Totally. Yes, I agree. And it's funny because I feel like some of the earlier questions kind of like hinted at this at a very similar thing, but this is like, all right, we're not beating around the bush anymore. Like, you're here. What is your secret fantasy and how am I involved in it?
Yeah, exactly.
It's very direct, which I can appreciate that.
Again, having all of the like non-monogamy conversations that I've had, I go back to like, is there pre-discussed rules where your partner is absolutely 100% against adding another person? Because like, maybe if that's the fantasy, you may have to approach it a little bit differently. Right. But like, at the same time, somebody's fantasy is unique to them, and I don't want to say sacred, but like, it's a thing that like is them. And you, to a degree, you have to kind of like, I don't want to say not judge them, but not like, try not to judge the person having the fantasy as much as judging the fantasy to something you don't like. Like, the two are not connected.
Yes,
in that
they're
sense.
not wrong for desiring that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And again, it's one of those things where you have to be prepared for the answers that you get.
Yep, I agree. You said it more eloquently than I did, which I appreciate, because usually I'm the one that has to like try and figure out how something's said to make it make sense. Came in clutch. Glad you're here, Shelby. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
It's been so weird to call you your real, like, your like first name this entire time.
Everybody's like, "Who's Shelby?" That's nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna slide past that and be proud of myself because I've done it so many times.
You're doing a great job. Thank you.
Number 11 is, describe how you want our next night together to go. And I love this one because, again, it could be anything. So like, this is a perfect opportunity to like ask what you're set up thinking wise. You don't have to tell me what you actually would like do or want or say, but like thinking wise, because your partner's away. And so I'm assuming like you have a reconnecting like ideal in your head of like, oh, I can't wait for you to get back because of XYZ. So like, if you were asking this question to your partner who is not here right now, what would be like the first, I guess, direction that you come at this in, and what would be your hope in response, like, for them to say, like, I hope when, our first night together, our next night together starts out with just, what's the vibes?
Yeah. So it's really interesting because I'm thinking about this. It's very easy for me to think about because I'm getting planning on this for tomorrow when Sam gets home. Um, but like he's been gone for several days. I've also had several days to myself, which has been really nice. So I've been able to kind of recharge. I'm in a place of like, I want to know what your expectations are for when you come home so that like you can have a relaxing time.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in a good place to like be open and like, kind of like set the vibe, so to speak, for you. And I think, gosh, it makes me think about, I think so many people get into arguments or tiffs or conflict with their partner when they have differing expectations. Like, I think that this date that we're going to go on is going to go XYZ way, and then this is going to happen, and this is going to happen. And that, like, is just not reality most of the time.
Yeah.
Right. Or your partner has a different expectation about how things should go or how they want things to go. So I love the idea of asking this question. And I actually think that maybe this would be a great question for me to ask Sam. Like, what do you expect?
Yeah.
Are you going to be tired when you get home? Do you want some time to rest? Or do you want to just like go straight at it and then like, figure out the rest of the day from there? Take it slow or, that kind of thing. And I have an idea of what he might say
Yeah.
in my head, but it's nice to be asked the question, I think.
Yeah. So like my knee-jerk response to this is like, is this, are we talking our weekly scheduled date night? Are we talking about, when you get home from work? Are we talking about our next free night just because we have, like a free night coming up? So like that context matters. And for me, like, I know, like I 100% would like the next night that me and Courtney get to spend together, I would like to have it be like a chill night and not have any plans. We seem to be super busy and stuff is going on. So like the nights that like we hope to get like rest and chill, it's like we're both super tired because we've worked, we've done all this other stuff. And now it's like, man, we get to kind of enjoy each other's company, but like not in the same way that like feels connected. It just feels like we're both like trying to like white knuckle it and hold on. So like, we're here together, but we're not like here together. So like, we do this thing where like, last year we started and it was like watching 100 new movies. So like movies that we have never seen and then we rate them. So this year we're kind of doing the same thing, but there's not a number on it. We're just doing it and watching it. And I can't think of the last time we watched like a new movie. We binge watched a couple shows because it's just like, let's put something on that we don't have to pay attention to and that will just keep going. And like, there isn't like, do you want to watch another episode or do you want to go to bed? Like there's no intentionality behind it, but I want to watch a movie and like just do our like thing. Like I think the vibe doesn't have to be spicy, but because you open the conversation, it could get spicy. I don't know.
It could get spicy. Right. Exactly. And I think again, thinking back to like when people feel safe, they're so much more likely to get spicy. So like if things have gone in the way that they expect them to, that creates a sense of safety, right? So I said, I've had a long day at work and I really want to come home and I want to have dinner made for me. Like I really don't want to have to cook anything. The odds that things are going to get spicy after I've had dinner made for me are like way higher because I feel rested. I haven't had to do anything. I feel safe. My needs were met. Like the odds that things will then get spicy go up like tenfold.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing is like I said, dinner will be ready for you when you get home. Like that's if you like if I don't know, I can't speak for like all husbands or like male partners, but like if you're like partner doesn't do the food dance, if you're the one that cooks when they get their food, then you're doing it wrong. They should
That's not right.
Yeah, they should be doing a little bit of a food dance. And like that's how you have now initiated whatever like peaceful transition you would like to have because they are fed and happy.
Yes.
Our next one, and this is again this one is like there's no beating around the bush. It is straight up. Now I got to find it because I missed it. Oh, what's your favorite body part of mine and why? And it's like,
Ooh.
yep. If
I love this question because any body part can be erotic.
mm-hmm.
Like I think, anything can fit the category. And I mean, again, it doesn't have to be spicy. You could take this a million different ways, but it could be anything.
Yeah, it could be anything. I don't want to say out myself, but like out myself a little bit. One of the things that like I've always thought was like strange from my perspective, but like I can't help it, is like the bridge of a nose. Like that's just, like I just love that spot, and it like
Yeah.
it doesn't. I don't know why. Don't know
Yeah.
what but that's a thing. So like it could be like literally anything. So if that's the spot that you enjoy, or that's the spot that you like, or that's the body part that you like,
Mhm.
I love your left calf because it has like your birthmark on it. It literally could
Yeah.
be fucking anything. So, I don't know. I
That's
like
so
that
funny. I don't know if you know this about me, but I do have a birthmark on my left calf.
That is, I did not know that, but that is very funny. I have a birthmark on my right calf, which is why I said
Oh.
left, because I didn't want to be speaking specifically of me in that weird, like meta way. So that's hilarious that I did it anyway.
I just had to
knew.
look down and double check. I was like, is that my left or my right? Oh no, that's my left. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, when you're listening to this, if you jump back like 15 seconds, you'll hear me pause, and that pause was me thinking, is it on my left or my right? It's on my right. Okay, left.
Glad that we both had to think about that.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's just been there forever. I don't know. But yeah, I like that one. And again, that one pairs with some of the other ones where like if you're asking these questions, they're just questions. You can keep them in your back pocket and ask them at any point in time. You don't got to go through the list. Just ask them. The next one, this one is again not beating around the bush. If I whispered something dirty right now, what would you want it to be? And I like that one because that's putting you in control of, like, I'm saying it is okay for you to say this thing. What would it be? And I love the connectiveness of these questions and the way they're asked.
I like this too, but the funny thing about this is I'm like, I couldn't, it would be so hard for me to think of an answer because the things that I like the thing that I would want to be whispered, I would want it to have an element of surprise to it because that to me is what's exciting. And so I'm like, well, I don't want to tell you what it is.
Yeah.
But again, that's just me and my brain. And, I get a lot of value from things being like new and exciting and interesting.
Novelty is
yes, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah. So like, I'm glad you brought that up because like in this particular instance too, novelty is one of the biggest keys to keeping a relationship, especially the spicy side of a relationship, going. If there is no novelty, things will get stale, things will get stagnant, and it's hard to break out of those ruts. And if you're stuck in one of those ruts and you're not connecting on another level and you don't have time and there's no novelty, that is a recipe for fucking failure. So
absolutely
introduce novelty in ways that like are safe for both of you, which requires you to start having a conversation, which picks up on the intimacy side of like the open ways of communication, which then picks up the time that you spend together, and see how you're starting to like balance out that triangle. That stuff has to happen. Has to happen.
Totally does.
Completely okay. We're both out of practice. It's fine. It's fine. Completely all right. I was skipping a couple questions, so now I got to figure. That's why I keep pausing because I was like trying to figure out which. Okay, I skipped that one. Let me ask the next one after that. Okay. So our next question, kind of, I guess the like wrapping it up question. And I like that this one is kind of the last one that we got. And then I have another like quick plot twist, I guess is what I'll call it after this question. What's the one thing I've done to you that you can't forget? And I love that one because that one is, again, not really beating around the bush.
No, not at all. I love that question. And I immediately like had an answer in my mind, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Right.
yeah, it's a very like visceral question because it really taps into like, okay, what was memorable for you and why?
Yeah. And if you've been together for a long time or you've been together for a short time, I'm sure that there is at least two or three things that come to your mind. And then the longer you think about it, the more it's like, oh, but, ooh, oh, well, man, and hopefully things are progressing in a way that you have a lot of those moments that like you could
Mm-hmm.
think back to of like, oh, but that was fun, or oh, but that was fun. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times I think I, I get this rap of like this like tough, closed off, stoic dude, but I'm actually
Mm-hmm.
super like I don't want to say emotional, but like ceremonial and um like
Emotionally
I'm
intelligent, maybe?
yeah, very emotionally, yeah, exactly. So like, like sentimental, all of those things. So like so many moments that I can think of that like I would think about, it's more about the moment tied to them than the actual thing. And I think that that's an okay way to approach this question too. Like it doesn't just have to be like you made my eyes roll and this is what it was, like for me it's like the things that I think of are like the most vulnerable moments, or the moments where like you were as purely you in that moment as you could possibly be, and the beauty in that is what I loved. And so
Yeah.
it's interesting because like I'm sure a lot of people are like, the this move that you pulled out this time, or this toy, or this that, or the cuffs for the first time, like all of those things could come to mind first. But like for me it was like, man, so again, like there's no right or wrong answers to these, and I love that.
Right. Yeah, yeah. And it's so funny that you say that because I thought of a million different, like, some were very physical, some were very, sexy in the moment moments. And some of them were just like very intimate moments we've had as a couple. And I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
yeah, like that just came to mind immediately. So it could really go a lot of different directions. And I like
Yeah.
that.
So like when you're asking this question, I think that I would ask this question, and if you've been the one leading this conversation, and this is where it
Mhm.
gets kind of hairy, at least for me anyway, where like in my summarization of this question is, if you've been leading the conversation up to this point, or you're the one that jumped in and started asking the questions, I wouldn't
Mhm.
wait for them to respond,
Mhm.
and I wouldn't wait for them to ask you the question back. I would ask the question and then immediately say, here's what I think
Mhm.
I would answer to you, so that you disarm them and make them feel safe in responding with whatever they need to respond with,
Yeah.
because you showed vulnerability and like a super intimate thought before
Mhm.
they had an opportunity to, and it allows them to feel like you're a part of the conversation, not like you're just
Right.
hurling a question at them hoping for a response, and then
Mhm.
they don't know if you're going to accept the response or not accept the response, and they don't have to, because you've already kind of made yourself vulnerable in the situation.
Mhm.
And again, I think that that's like a caveat to this question for me, where I think I would just be like, because I feel like this is my answer,
Yeah.
and allow them the time to think, and they don't have to respond immediately, because
Mhm.
they're given time to process what you said and your answer, while also thinking about what their answer would be in kind, as opposed to just put on the spot answering this question and then not really having an answer, or like answering too quick and feeling like, oh, I answered that too quick, like I feel
Yeah.
like am I did I just slut shame myself, like
Well, and I feel like that is so, I agree with you. But I also think that it's so dependent on your partner. It's like it comes down to knowing your partner and their
yeah.
needs. So like I know that I'm very susceptible to like what's going on with other people. And so
Hmm.
like if somebody else answered that question first, like it might be more comfortable for me because then I would say, "Oh, okay, well here's the direction we're going." So if like my
Hmm.
partner answered the question first in a very sweet, intimate way, then I would probably respond in kind. Whereas if they wouldn't have given a response, I might have given a more spicy response, like
Yeah.
left to my own devices. And so
Yeah.
it's funny to me that like it kind of depends on the vibe that your partner is putting off. But again, comes down to knowing them. And I think, I mean, having these kind of conversations on a regular basis will lead you to a place where you do feel like you know them a little better. So you'll be ready.
Yeah, exactly. And with that, there's now 3 episodes of questions like this that are like just a tick up and then another tick up in the timeline of Home's Room, so you can go listen to them. And then we got episodes with sex educators, we have episodes with sex workers, we have episodes with like swingers, we have episodes with like pro doms. There is enough that you can find in this feed to like figure out, have the conversation, find what you're into, find resources, find people if that's what you're also looking for, like whatever it is.
Absolutely.
So like go do that. I said that there was a plot twist. I asked Shelby before, when we were planning this thing, I was like, hey, if you want to look up some questions and, throw in some questions because your vision might be different than mine, as like kind of like a backup. And I want to hear at least 2, maybe 3 of the questions that you found, because I think that I'm super curious now that we've had this conversation on what those look like. So what you got, friend?
All right. So I'm kind of skipping through some of these questions to find a good one. This one I think is really interesting. I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm not going to offer a caveat. Name one thing to you that is better than sex.
Ooh, I like that one. Man, that's so hard, but I love it. Like,
right?
That's so hard. And it's like, dang, that's a really good one. And like, I like genuinely like am racking my brain trying to think about like, that's a really good one.
That's a hard question for an Aries to answer.
Yeah, it is. Because I just like, my immediate reaction is like, a joint accomplishment. So like if we were like doing something and it was like a big task and we made it through, that like same level of like gratification, I guess, is there. So like I guess that would kind of be my answer to that one. So it's like it's hard to think about. So like I don't, and I would ask it just like that too. I wouldn't, like I'm probably going to go ask this question afterwards. So yeah,
it's a good one. I was like really, I liked that one a lot because it made me think really hard. And I think if I had to answer that question, I think physical intimacy is a big part of my relationship and it's important to me. But I think emotional intimacy is like the key, right?
Yeah,
because they go hand in hand. If you have one, then you probably have the other.
Yeah. That's kind of what, like, where my brain went was like, something emotional, but also like, I think I would have to have a little bit of stress, a little bit of, intelligence shown, and a little bit of, trust building, but also trust shown. So like, it would have to be like accomplishing a task together that like is like a seemingly insurmountable task in that moment, and it's that accomplishment of finishing it. Like that's where I would have to go, because it's like the emotional I like that one. I like it. That's a good one.
That kind of accomplishing a task like that takes emotional intimacy, right? Because you're like, sometimes there's arguments along the way. It was hard to get there. We didn't think we could do it. But then we did it. And it feels so good. Like,
I'm proud of us. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I like that. All right. One more. Let's throw one more out there.
All right. There's 2 really good ones. And I'm like, I don't know which one to ask.
Well, we'll give you 2 more. We'll give you 2 more then.
Okay. We'll start with this one. What do you think my type is?
Ooh, I love that question. And I think Courtney and I have not gotten into like, I don't say arguments, but gotten into like disagreements about this, because like the interpretation is never accurate. And like, full disclosure, she's kind of closed off, so like doesn't really talk about stuff like that. So like I would only know based off of what I see, or what I see her respond to, or what I see like on like social media kind of things, or whatever. Like that's kind of the only thing that I would like I would be able to like judge off of. And for her, like we did, I don't remember what it was for, but like we were just randomly doing like fuck, marry, kills. And like I think it was like kill time at work or something. Like I don't remember what it was for. And like she hit me with like, it was like 3 people I just like genuinely like, I was like, I don't have an answer for this because like I don't find it like any of them really that attractive. So like I answered it and she was like, oh, I'm surprised that those were your answers, or that's how you would. And I was like, well, I don't really, like, and she's like, oh, interesting. And then it made me like realize like, so this is a good question to ask, because you might be surprised by the answer, but also like you might not be surprised by the answer. I don't know.
Yeah. It's funny because Sam has what I would describe as a very distinctive type. But it also, in identifying what his type is, I realized that like I do fall into that category. He likes like, I don't know, like a strong brunette woman, like short, cute brunette, but also who gives off like a lot of strong energy. And I'm like, he perceives me as being very,
is he a 90s kid?
Yeah, we're the same age.
So like that's why. So like I just want to say this to that note specifically. Most 90s boys grew up with Wonder Woman, Xena, like all of these people.
You're
and like
literally naming off his type.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like, that's the thing. And like 90% of the moms that were on TV when we were younger were like strong. I don't want to say mouthy in a bad way, but like strong, mouthy.
Yes.
Like, yeah. And like, so like all emotionally intelligent, like 90s boys have like super similar, like the hair color or the like body structure might be like slightly different and vary, but like the type of woman is always the same, because it's like, I don't like, you're supposed to be able to like smack me around if I need it occasionally, because I might need it occasionally.
You keep me in line.
Yeah. And if you don't do that, then like, what is this for? Like, I don't know. So like, anyway, I just think it's funny because you were describing it and I was like, yeah, so sounds like a 90s kid. And I was like, wait, I don't know if he's younger than, so.
No, 100%. And but it's funny because like he'll identify all these people that are his type. And then like, obviously he thinks that I'm his type as well, but he perceives me in a way that I don't always perceive myself, as being like powerful and strong and like all these things that I don't always feel inside, but I'm like, it gives me confidence to like see that I'm seen that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that in itself is like pretty friggin' awesome. And I like hearing that. That's one of those things where like, I don't remember what made me think about that earlier, but I was just thinking about that same kind of thing earlier. And I think that, for you, especially having gone through, a relationship that didn't turn out how you would want it to, your view of yourself and your view of yourself inside of a relationship is a funhouse mirror. And sometimes you get a view that like is accurate, but sometimes you get a view that's like, I don't know. And it's hard to know what to believe and what not to believe because there's so much going on. So when somebody else holds up like not a mirror, but like a picture, I guess is what I'll say, of how they see you, is like, oh, dang, okay. Like I just told Courtney earlier, I was like, I appreciate that after 20 years, you still find me attractive in a way that like most people wouldn't still find me attractive, simply because like I often like on face value, it's like, I'm not going to stop any cars. I'm not going to turn heads in traffic. But when people get to know me, they're like, oh, damn, you're such a, like, you're a capable guy. You're sweet. You know, all these things. You're actually super like dependable and caring. So like the personality makes up for whatever else. And she's gotten past all of the personality things and still, so it's like, I have to remember like, oh yeah, you actually believe this thing. I don't have to unbelieve it about myself.
I don't have to. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I love that.
You're a reflection of me. I don't know. I like that question.
Yeah. All right. What's your last one?
Very last one. What quality has gotten sexier to you as you've gotten older?
Ooh, I like that one too. I love that one. Those are, that one is a good one on like so many different levels, because it appreciates aging. And I think that we need to get in a world that appreciates aging. Like
Agreed.
I'm going gray and my hair is black, so like people are pointing it out all the frigging time. I work in a school. I got roasted by a friggin' like 9-year-old, or I guess a 9-year-old, and so like because my hair is going gray and like so it's like I don't know what to tell you, man. So like I'm feeling a kind of way. So I like that we're approaching aging from a loving environment.
Absolutely. It's better than the alternative.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So since you've known like your partner since you were like teenagers, it's been about the same like distance of time as me and Courtney. So like you've seen so many different versions, and would you point out something that like physically got better, or would you point out something that like just like as a human or as an emotional being or as a like a friend, like what thing would you gravitate towards pointing out for him?
It's so funny. I think I would go emotional first.
Yeah.
Because specifically with Sam, we met when we were young. We were both 19, and he was like he was not as comfortable in his body then as he is now. So I would hate to point something out physically, because like as much as I am attracted to who he is now, I was also attracted to him then as a like we didn't date, but we did have some flirtation that went on for a long time, some like kind of star-crossed lovers vibes.
Yeah.
And I always try to emphasize to him that like obviously I find him very attractive now, but like I've always found you attractive. Like you didn't have to change anything about your physical being for me to like you, to be into you. So like I think I would go more the emotional side. And the thing that immediately came to mind is that like he's grown and changed so much and like emotionally matured, but also maintains this great level of like boyish fun, and like he's just like able to experience joy in a way that I'm like, God, you just didn't let the world like beat you down, and I really love that.
As somebody who's got a bunch of RC cars literally on the wall behind me right now, I appreciate that. The like it's a thing that like finding your passion and finding the thing that you love and not letting people like make you feel bad about it. Like, with these questions specifically and everything that we've talked about, and this is a good wrap up, honestly, is like knowing that like it's okay to be you and it's okay to feel comfortable as you and answer these questions as you don't have to be something, you don't have to change into something you're not. If you're not a spicy person, don't be a spicy person. If your answers to this are all vanilla, then let them be vanilla. Be like the most vanilla bean ice cream that you could fucking be, because there's still a little bit of spice in there, but you know what, it's good. So like I think that I don't know how you feel, I guess, but I think that too many people are putting too much pressure on themselves in relationships, and that's why relationships aren't doing what they should be doing.
They're not being their authentic selves, and they're trying to fit into a mold that doesn't work for someone else who like maybe just isn't your person. Because if you're trying to fit yourself into a mold and it doesn't feel right, then that's not where you need to be.
Yeah, exactly. I can't thank you enough for jumping on and doing this, especially kind of impromptu. We talked about this forever ago and we finally got it to work out. So I'm super glad that we did, because this has been fun. I know your partner's gonna come home and he's gonna get like this super lovey version of you and be like, what the fuck?
we've just had these beautiful reflective conversations. Yeah, I'm like,
right?
Really,
and it's like and you feel it. Yeah, exactly. So you can tell him Home says you're welcome. Like I said, thank you for being here. Thank you for being on and, sharing with us, your interpretation. And I hope out there, everybody enjoyed this conversation, but also goes and asks their partners these questions. I'm not going to lie. I think some of these you can ask to your friends just to see what your friends say. And that might be a good conversation starter to make you feel more comfortable in asking your partner. Because there's some of these that I might ask my friend just to be like, what would your answer be to this? And maybe you feel less crazy. I don't know.
I love that. And I also love, I think we focus so much on intimacy with our partners physical and emotional, but we don't focus enough on emotional intimacy in our friendships, right? So I think we have to deepen those connections and be intentional about those connections too. So totally agree with that. I'm so honored that you asked me to do this. I am happy to have a conversation with you anytime. It's always a pleasure. This is so fun, and I hope everybody gets a little something out of it.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to do a part 2 with like questions to ask your friend and deepen emotional connection, because that would be good. But yeah, we'll earmark that for another day. With that, thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
The bell is about to ring. If you want to drop us a voice message or simply ask a question, you can do that by clicking the link in the show notes below. Be sure to leave us a 5-star review. It helps more people find us. Theme music by Kinsey. More music
Spencer
available
Brown.
on Spotify. Remember, every day is a class. Go learn something.